So that is a great segue into our next speaker. The next speaker, Colber, is hailing all the way now from the East Coast, and he has extensive experience in building organizations and teams, a lot of work with community coalitions, substance abuse prevention, and organizational development. And he's done this in a variety of environments and contexts around the world, and is going to share some of that insight with us here today. I'm really intrigued at what he's going to say because I had a chance to preview his slides. And I'm still not sure what he's going to say. So I say, well, you are in for a great treat, and welcome Colber to the stage. Here you go.
And we didn't practice that. My name is Colber Prosper, and today we're talking about prevention is like Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Let's get the important stuff out of the way. I work for an organization. I'm a training consultant for CADCA. CADCA means Community Anti-Drug Coalition of America. And what we do is train community members to make their communities and their coalitions safe and healthy and drug-free. Our theme this year is partnering for prevention, what we are doing today. Also what we do with CADCA is we do youth leadership trainings, and so we help young people, we train young people to be leaders and also to be change agents, which is something that I would love to do that also here in North Dakota. I'm pretty excited to be here. I'm excited the fact that I get to share the stage with so many great speakers and great people. Also, I'm pretty excited that I get to speak before lunch. After lunchtime, it's hard to talk. And so with that, we'll begin. So how many people have heard of Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious? Raise your hands. Okay, all right. Now, by shouting out, where does it come from? Mary Poppins, okay. To my fellow millennials who don't know who Mary Poppins is, it's a movie that came out way, way, way long ago. That's a shot to Rodney and the baby boomers. So it was dinosaurs, Mary Poppins today. So, to my millennials who don't know who Mary Poppins is, I'm going to give you a summary, and also you can get that synopsis at your local history channel. So, let's begin. So Mary Poppins is based around the story of the Banks family. Mr. Banks, who is in picture 2, is a junior partner at a bank. He's strict, he's firm, he's traditional, he's all about structure. Mrs. Banks, which is in picture 1, in the middle, Miss Banks is a community leader. She's also an advocate for women's vote, which is interesting because this movie came out the same time as the women liberation movement. Don't know if that's a coincidence. So you have Mr. and Mrs. Banks, you also have the Banks children. You have Jane and Michael. And like other kids, they're mischievous and they get into trouble. Well, maybe not other kids, because they had 4 nannies in 6 weeks, just quit. So the problem, well, no, it's actually 6 nannies in 4 months, that's what it was. And so the problem was the Banks family needed a new nanny. They needed a nanny who's gonna be firm and strict with the kids. So on picture 3, the kids are being chastised for running away another nanny. And so what they end up doing, Mr. Banks says, I'm gonna take this on my own. I'm gonna write an advertisement in a newspaper for a new nanny. The kid's like, we're gonna write one too. Mr. Banks eventually rips up the kids' advertisements and throw it into the fireplace. And now we are at picture 4. Miss Mary Poppins gets the advertisements of the kids and shows up to the Banks residence and flying with an umbrella. Happens every day. And so at picture 5, she meets with Mr. Banks, and she hires herself, just like that. And Mary Poppins isn't your regular nanny. She is the bona fide nanny. She was super nanny before there was a super nanny. No shade to the current, right? So Mary Poppins, she hires herself, picture 6. She goes straight up to the nursery with the kids. And the first thing she does with the kids, she measures them. She measures their characteristics, their personality, and their behavior. She finds that Michael, the little boy, is extremely stubborn and suspicious. She also finds that Jan is giggly and she doesn't want to put anything away. So what she does after she's taken her assessment about the kids, they clean up the room, and she makes it fun for them to clean up. And after that, they go on an outing to the park, and they run into Bert. Bert is I consider him the first serial entrepreneur. He's always doing something. And that day at the park, he was painting pictures. And one of his pictures was a scene of a scenery of a spring, and there was a festival, and it was a beautiful picture Bert drew. Miss Mary Poppins uses her magic, and they go into the scene. I wish she used her magic for our spring, but we'll see how that goes. Long story short, the kids and Mary Poppins and Bert are in this picture. And Mary Poppins ends up, they get into a merry-go-round, and they take the horses from the merry-go-round, and she ends up in a horse race. She wins the race, and people are asking, Mary Poppins, how does it feel to win the horse race? And in like Mary Poppins fashion, she explains it in a song. Hit it, DJ.
There probably aren't words to describe your emotion.
Now, gentlemen, please. On the contrary, there's a very good word. Am I right, Bert?
Tell them what it is.
Right. It's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. If you say it loud enough, you'll always sound precocious. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
And the song continues, right? This is so much fun, right? Mary Poppins finds a way to make a huge word that's uncomfortable to say fun and acceptable with a song and a dance because she knew her audience. And so when we go back, the kids are saying this. The kids are saying supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, right? I still have a hard time saying it, right? They said the house is excited, the maid and the cook in picture 8, they're saying it, and of course, Mr. Banks is not fond of this. He's like, they're fooling around, they should know the structures of life. So the next day, Mr. Banks takes them to the bank where he works. And Mr. Banks tells the kids that you're going to deposit your money, you're gonna know responsibility. But the kids, they don't wanna give their money to the bank. They actually wanna give their money to the woman across the street who's feeding birds. And Mr. Banks says no, and the other bank managers are saying no. They managed to take the money from the kids, and the kids are crying, give me my money back. Other people from the bank hears this, and they're like, the bank is keeping people's money. And it causes a frenzy, so much so that in picture 10, the partners of the bank fires Mr. Banks for how his kids acted. During this time, as Mr. Banks is being fired, he says the word supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. At that moment, he knew what it meant. And he also understood at that moment that he should be spending more time with his kids. He runs out, and in picture 11, you see him fixing the kite that the kids broke earlier in the movie. And the family in picture 12 finally get together on an outing to spend time together, because that's something that they're not doing. For Mary Poppins, the wind changes, and she takes the wind with her umbrella and goes and helps the next family. The argument I want to make with you all today is that, I'm going the wrong way, is that prevention is similar to Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Sounds crazy, right? But one of the similarities that they share is that when you say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious in prevention, people don't know what you're talking about. They look at you with a blank stare. They're like, what does that mean? The second thing that they both share is that the S word and also prevention, they have negative connotation. Mary Poppins actually says supercalifragilisticexpialidocious sounds atrocious. And when people hear prevention, they hear no fun. They hear rules. They hear police officers. But the third and most important thing that they share is that they both, for me, mean excitement, they mean fun, they mean something much greater than the actual letters put together. And I say that prevention is even more fun than supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Prevention is more important than the S word. But everybody knows what supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is. Nobody knows prevention. Especially supercalifragilisticexpialidocious gets a lot more play than prevention. And the reason why is marketing. We have to spruce up our marketing in prevention. It has to be continuous. It has to be intentional. It needs to be assessed. We need to continue marketing. Our competition is always marketing, and we have to always market what we are doing in prevention. Now, we can't keep marketing what we want people to do, right? In this marketing, we have to use marketing principles to say our message a lot better. And one of those things is a marketing theory is called exchange theory. And the theory is that people have their own self-interest, and people buy and people get things that benefits their self-interest. And when they buy something or consume something, it meets an immediate need, a desire, an aspiration. Now, if you tell me that if I don't smoke, I'll live longer, like, yeah, but I'm a millennial, I'm not a baby boomer, you know, I got time. But if you can design your message to meet an immediate need, aspiration, or goal, I'm more likely to consume it. Case in point, I started doing prevention when I was in 6th grade. And the reason I kept doing prevention and continue to do prevention because it's fun and it's in line with my values. Another thing we have to also consider when we think about marketing prevention, we also have to consider that people are paying a price. People are paying a toll to do prevention because the prevention is uncomfortable. So for instance, case in point. So when I was in high school, we had coalitions at our schools. And then we had a larger coalition in our county. And so in our school, we decided that we're going to have randomized drug tests. So anybody who was a part of our group was going to have randomized drug tests. And this is a way to prove to adults that not all young people are using drugs. Now, everybody knew about these randomized drug tests. Teachers, coaches, our parents. And because we're doing so much great things, I connected to my friends, our peers. We're doing so many great things that I love the people I was working with. But there were times where I was at parties or at people's houses and they asked me if I wanted to take something or do something. Saying no in that moment was uncomfortable. But the product was more important to me than taking something and letting down all the people who are part of my group. And so we have to remember the toll and the price that people pay when they do prevention when we talk about marketing. So I'm going to share a couple of marketing tips. So prevention has come a long way. This is your brain on drugs, egg, pan, this whole thing that happens. I didn't understand it. I still don't understand it. I want to throw some bacon, turkey bacon. So it's like, we've come a long way, and we know that doesn't work because it doesn't explain anything. We also know fear advertisement doesn't work either because it doesn't have a lasting impact. What we do know is social norm campaigns, and social norm campaigns means that we let people know the positive things that are happening. I want to be a part of the group who's doing great things, and what we see here is a social norm campaigns directed to parents, saying that 70% of kids listen to their parents, and when we talk about substance use. So we're doing better, and we need to do more about this. Another thing is audience segmentation or target marketing, right? And when we talk about this, my colleague and friend Dwayne is director of Nashville Prevention Network, and he talked about one of the most popular campaigns that they created was Be a Parent and Not a Peer. And the reason they were able to get so much success with this campaign is that they did surveys with parents, and also they did focus groups with parents. So parents were involved with the message. And so there are things that we need to do when we target populations. And typically in health, we target socioeconomics, we target race, ethnicity, age. We also need to start targeting behavior, what people are doing, what people want, and when we talk about audience segmentation. The next thing is a marketing mix. I'm going to be honest with you. Me and Michelle Obama, we have something. Don't tell Barack. She's my boo. We go together. And the reason and I can prove it to you, every time she looks at the camera, she's looking at me, okay? So one of the greatest public health marketing campaigns is Let's Move. It is to fight childhood obesity. They didn't go around saying these are the benefits of healthy eating. They just said, let's move. And they use the marketing mix, and when we talk about the 4 to 6 P's of marketing: price, promotion, packaging, people, place, and the 6th one. And so we have to be cognizant of where we market, and how we promote when we're marketing our campaigns when it comes to prevention. And so another thing is, something that we can do now, is that we need more voices. We need more people talking about prevention. Hit it, DJ.
But one of the things I'm most excited about is my recent partnership with Dove as a member of their Speak Beautiful squad, which is part of their self-esteem project. So Speak Beautiful was inspired by research that found that 72% of young girls struggle with their self-esteem due to content that they've seen on social media. So Dove enlisted the help of myself, behavioral therapist Vanessa Van Edwards, Jeanette Calpoon, the CEO and founder of Hispanic Global, and Ariel Winter from Modern Family to create content and tips around social media and self-esteem. My contribution to the Speak Beautiful squad was a really fun digital video glossary for parents and guardians to help them understand the types of words and language that girls are using online and how they might be impacting their self-esteem. So for example, one phrase in the glossary was thigh gap. This is the space that's sometimes created between your legs when you stand parallel, but of course not everyone has this. But unfortunately, this can make some girls feel bad because in many circles it's seen as an aspirational thing, when in reality everyone's bodies and in turn their thighs are completely different and unique to them, which is what makes it so awesome. Your body is yours. Another phrase we covered was TBH, which stands for to be honest, which on its face sounds positive, right? There's nothing bad about being honest, but unfortunately some people use TBH to preface something nasty or negative as if that qualifier somehow makes the statement less mean or hurtful. We also did a really fun workshop here in New York City with a group of local girls where we played games and just talked about using social media responsibly and also finding ways to use our online voices to uplift each other and ourselves in meaningful ways. If you want to see more of the great resources and content that Dove and the other Speak Beautiful squad members have created around social media and self-esteem, you can check out the official Dove Twitter page or check the links that I've included in the video description box below.
So Dove has a self-esteem project where it works on self-esteem, and they focus on self-esteem of young women. And so what they did was they incorporated and they included people who are doing so many different things in so many different sectors to be ambassadors, to talk about this, to share what they know about being a woman and what it means to be beautiful. So we need more ambassadors, we need more people talking about prevention, talking about the benefits and what we can do. So I want to end it on something personal. Has anybody seen the movie Black Mass? Black Mass, yes. No, so we got a few. And there's a book about, and pretty much the book in Black Mass is about two brothers in Massachusetts. One brother in the suit and tie was a state senator and also was a college president. The other brother, the other brother was involved in organized crime, and after Osama bin Laden, but you guys want to know what I'm saying. So after that guy, he was on the FBI's most wanted list, right? You have two brothers coming from the same family, working class family, but two different paths. And the book Unfair really examines what was the difference. Jenny talked about risk factors and protective factors, and how the environment, how the schools, and how your community can change someone's behavior and someone's overall life. One brother becomes a senator, one is in organized crime. And why I bring this up, I think about those same things about my little brother. Between my parents, I'm the eldest of 5, and I have a younger brother, Wilbur, who's 2 years younger than me. My brother and I were always together. We played together, we took baths together, we got in trouble together, we did everything together. My brother, I was well behaved, didn't really say much because I have a speech impediment, and so I had a hard time talking, so my brother did most of the talking for us, but he was also rambunctious, he was curious. And so when you have a rambunctious, curious kid in school, they often get labeled the bad kids, right? And what we know that in our school systems across the country, that black boys, Latino boys, and boys, Native American boys, tend to get suspended much higher and disciplined than their counterparts as their white boys. So my brother got into trouble in school at a really early age. And what happens, what we do is we put other bad kids together with other bad kids, and that just makes kids even more bad. And by the time we were in high school, my brother was in and out of juvie, using and selling drugs. Now, I'm not blaming the school system for my brother, and he definitely has his own responsibilities and self-responsibilities around those things, but it's very hard for me to blame a child for adult labels. So as my brother's going in and out of juvie and using and selling drugs, I'm in prevention. I started going to my coalition meetings in 6th grade. We're doing parties, we're doing conferences, and we're organizing these things. The picture to your right is us at a conference doing leadership and team working. The picture in the middle is when I was a lot slimmer and had hair. And I was in high school when I was a part of that. And because prevention is so fun, because prevention is anything from after-school programs, tutoring kids, teaching kids, to changing legislation, it's so many things that I was doing. I stayed involved. When I went to school and went to grad school, I still stayed involved with my coalition. Last year was our 25-year anniversary for our coalition, for all the work that we did. And we still had fun. We had a dance after the ceremony. When I think about Michael, back to our story, Mary Poppins, when I think about Michael, my brother, they're not very different. Michael was described as extremely stubborn and suspicious. Ways that some people describe my own little brother. But we treat people differently because of something that they're going through. And we really need to spruce up our marketing to reach those kids who are doing different things, who aren't into what the good kids are doing. We need to market to them as well. But what I love about what you all are doing, you all have a day for prevention. Woo! We didn't have that. We didn't have that growing up in Florida. We didn't have that. We didn't have 7 sacred teachings. We didn't have YouTube videos. You all are doing so much more than what we are doing, so much more work than what we are doing, that I look forward to seeing what you all complete and achieve and be a nation leader in what we are doing in this work. And so I say to you, we can always create marketing plans, and that's going to take time. And we need to assess those marketing plans and evaluate those marketing plans. That's going to take time. But we can be ambassadors. We can be voices for prevention today. And my final question to you, are you going to be Mr. Banks, or are you going to be Miss Mary Poppins? Thank you for your time.
Woo! That was going to be the hardest thing I did all day. Awesome. Thank you, Colber. That was fantastic. And I love Mary Poppins. I love watching Mary Poppins with my kids, and now it's going to take on a whole new meaning. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And since I'm in the habit of sharing secrets today, you should have heard the governor singing along to Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Like, I was hoping my mic would be on, and then I could just lean over and... All right, so here's what we're going to do next. We are going to roll a